It all started with a seemingly ordinary political debate, one of many aired across the nation. Karoline Leavitt, the young, fiery conservative commentator, was invited as a guest on a popular liberal-leaning talk show, The Nation Speaks. The producers likely expected a lively debate, but what they didn't expect was the firestorm that would follow. The show's panel, consisting of well-known liberal commentators, had a reputation for pressing their guests, sometimes aggressively. Leavitt, known for her sharp wit and fearless approach, was there to discuss the state of free speech in America and the growing cancel culture movement. But as soon as she took her seat, she sensed something was off. The hosts weren't there to debate. They were there to attack. The conversation began cordially enough, but within minutes, things took a turn. One of the hosts, a staunch progressive, threw out a loaded accusation. "Karoline, don't you think people like you, conservatives, are just angry because your outdated ideas are finally dying out?" Leavitt's eyes narrowed, but she remained composed. "I think Americans are tired of being silenced for having traditional values," she responded. "The real issue is that free speech is under attack, and the media is fueling the division." But the hosts weren't done. Another chimed in, sneering, "Or maybe conservatives like you just can't handle the truth, that the world is moving forward, and you're stuck in the past." Then came the comment that would set social media ablaze, a statement so out of line that it made headlines within hours. "Honestly, Karoline, people like you are the reason democracy is in danger. Your rhetoric is a disease in America." Silence fell over the studio. The comment was so shocking, so undeniably defamatory, that even some of the show's own viewers recoiled. Karoline didn't explode in anger. Instead, she smiled, adjusted her microphone, and delivered a calm but devastating response. "If you think disagreeing with the mainstream narrative makes me a threat, then maybe the real problem is the people controlling the narrative." The segment was cut short. The producers went into panic mode. But it was too late, the damage was done. By the time Karoline left the studio, the internet was already on fire. By the time Karoline Leavitt walked out of the studio, her phone was already buzzing nonstop. Messages from supporters, journalists, and political allies flooded her inbox. On Twitter, now X, the hashtag Leavitt silenced was trending within an hour, followed closely by hashtag Cancel the Nation Speaks and hashtag Sue Them All. Clips from the segment were circulating like wildfire. Some accounts shared the full exchange, while others zoomed in on the host's outrageous claim that Karoline's views were a disease. Conservatives and free speech advocates were furious, calling out the network for its blatant defamation and attempt to discredit opposing views. But the real shock came when even some moderates and liberal figures criticized the show. A prominent independent journalist tweeted, "Disagree with Karoline Leavitt all you want, but calling someone's ideology a disease on live television? That's a new low." Other mainstream media outlets began picking up the controversy, some attempting to downplay it, others fueling the flames. The liberal network behind The Nation Speaks scrambled to contain the damage, issuing a vague statement about how heated discussions can sometimes lead to strong opinions. But it wasn't enough. Meanwhile, Karoline was already planning her next move. She wasn't just going to let this slide. She was going to sue. Karoline Leavitt knew that this was bigger than just one insult on live television. It was about the broader war on conservative voices, the biased media, and the unchecked hostility toward free speech. She wasn't just fighting for herself. She was fighting for everyone who had been silenced, ridiculed, or canceled for their beliefs. Within 24 hours, she held a press conference outside a courthouse, standing tall with her legal team. Cameras flashed, microphones extended, and news anchors leaned in, eager for her statement. What happened on that show was not just a personal attack against me. It was an attack on every American who dares to have a different opinion from the mainstream media. The words used against me were not only defamatory but dangerous. They painted me as a threat to democracy simply for expressing my beliefs. This is why today, I am officially filing a lawsuit against the network behind The Nation Speaks and its hosts for defamation and character assassination. The crowd erupted. Conservative media personalities cheered her on. Right-wing networks played the clip on repeat, rallying behind her as a champion of free speech. But on the other side, liberal media exploded in outrage. Leavitt is playing the victim. Another conservative snowflake can't handle criticism. Suing over words? So much for free speech. The same hosts who had mocked her doubled down, painting her as an opportunist trying to milk controversy for personal gain. But Karoline didn't back down. Her legal team was serious. They had gathered every clip, every transcript, every comment that proved the hosts had not only attacked her, but spread false and damaging rhetoric about her on a massive platform. The lawsuit was real, and the liberal network was about to feel the heat. The moment Karoline Leavitt's lawsuit was officially filed, the media war escalated to unprecedented levels. The liberal network behind The Nation Speaks issued a carefully crafted response. We stand by our hosts and the integrity of our program. Spirited debates sometimes involve strong language, and we believe in the right to express our opinions freely. But this didn't address the key issue, defamation. Karoline's legal team wasn't just arguing that the hosts were mean. They were arguing that the comments made about her were false, harmful, and intended to destroy her reputation. Conservative outlets backed her fiercely. They aired side-by-side comparisons of liberal figures who had sued for defamation and won. Yet now, the same people were mocking Karoline for taking legal action. Fox News, Newsmax, and the Daily Wire ran segments with headlines like, "Loudspeaker, is this the end of liberal media's double standards?" Loudspeaker, if Leavitt were a liberal, they'd be calling her brave. Loudspeaker lawsuit exposes the ugly truth about media bias. Meanwhile, the liberal press went into full-blown attack mode. Crossmark MSNBC labeled Karoline as a far-right extremist playing the victim. Crossmark CNN ran a panel discussion suggesting she was using the lawsuit to fundraise for a political campaign. Crossmark social media activists started digging into Karoline's past, hoping to find dirt that could discredit her. But here's the problem for The Nation Speaks. Karoline had the receipts. Her legal team compiled a timeline of how the media had systematically targeted and deplatformed conservative voices, proving that this wasn't an isolated incident. And then the case took a dramatic turn. A whistleblower from inside the liberal network came forward. Just when the media circus around Karoline Leavitt's lawsuit couldn't get any crazier, an anonymous whistleblower emerged from inside the very network that aired The Nation Speaks. In a shocking exclusive interview with a conservative investigative journalist, the whistleblower, who had worked as a producer on the show, revealed the truth. That entire segment was a setup. The producers planned to corner Karoline and provoke her. They wanted her to either lose her temper or say something they could spin against her. And if that didn't happen, they were prepared to attack her reputation themselves. The whistleblower provided emails, text messages, and internal memos proving that the hosts had been instructed to go after Karoline and ensure that she was portrayed as a dangerous extremist. One damning email from a senior producer read, "Memo, make sure we push her into a corner. The goal is to expose her as radical. If she doesn't give us the moment we need, we'll frame the discussion accordingly." The evidence was devastating. It proved malicious intent, a key factor in defamation cases. Conservative media exploded. Fire, breaking, liberal network caught in coordinated attack on Karoline Leavitt. Fire, they wanted to destroy her. And we have the proof. Fire, whistleblower bombshell. Media rigging against conservatives exposed. At this point, even some moderate voices in journalism couldn't ignore the truth. A well-respected independent journalist tweeted, "This isn't just a debate gone wrong. This was a targeted character assassination. If the roles were reversed, this would be a national scandal." As the legal battle heated up, the network went into panic mode. Crossmark, they denied the allegations. Crossmark, they claimed the emails were taken out of context. Crossmark, they tried to discredit the whistleblower. But it was too late. The public had seen the receipts. And now the lawsuit had teeth. With the whistleblower's testimony and leaked emails now public, Karoline Leavitt's lawsuit gained massive legal momentum. What started as a controversial defamation case had now transformed into a full-blown scandal. Legal analysts across the spectrum weighed in. Some tried to downplay it, but many acknowledged that this case had merit. A high-profile legal expert on a primetime news show stated, "This isn't just about a heated debate anymore. The leaked communications show clear intent to damage Ms. Leavitt's reputation. That's textbook defamation." Inside the liberal network's headquarters, chaos reigned. Red Circle top executives held emergency meetings. Red Circle producers were questioned about the emails. Red Circle, the hosts involved in the segment, suddenly took a break from television. The pressure was building, and the network's lawyers knew they were losing control of the narrative. Meanwhile, Karoline remained steadfast. She appeared on multiple conservative platforms, defending her stance with confidence. "This isn't just about me. This is about the media's power to silence, smear, and cancel people they don't agree with. If we let this slide, who's next?" Her words resonated. Americans who had felt unheard, misrepresented, or even bullied by the media rallied behind her. Speaking Head supporters flooded social media with hashtags like #SueTheMedia and #JusticeForCaroline. Moneybag conservative donors pledged financial backing for her legal battle. Loudspeaker public figures, from politicians to celebrities, began voicing support. And then, the lawsuit took an even more dramatic turn. A second whistleblower stepped forward. Just when the network thought things couldn't get worse, they did. A second whistleblower, this time a former senior producer, came forward with even more damning evidence. Unlike the first whistleblower, this one wasn't anonymous. He went public on camera, in an exclusive interview with an independent news outlet. And what he revealed shook the media world to its core. Not only was Karoline Leavitt's interview a setup, but this is a pattern. The network has done this to multiple conservative voices. They have an entire strategy for silencing or discrediting people who challenge the liberal narrative. He backed up his claims with documents, meeting notes, and internal communications that revealed a coordinated effort to manipulate debates, selectively edit interviews, and even deplatform guests who didn't align with their agenda. One document was especially damning. It detailed the network's internal policy for handling high-profile conservative guests. Page facing up leaked network strategy memo. White heavy checkmark. If they're aggressive, paint them as unhinged. White heavy checkmark. If they're calm, claim they are misleading. White heavy checkmark. If they counter our points, dismiss them as disinformation. White heavy checkmark. If none of that works, discredit their character. Conservative media had a field day. Police car light media exposed. Leaked memos show how they rig the news. Police car light whistleblower. This was a setup, and it's not the first time. Police car light, the truth about fake news. Now we have proof. The pressure on the liberal network became unbearable. Collision corporate sponsors started pulling ads from the show. Collision stockholders demanded an internal investigation. Collision, the network's legal team, panicked, realizing they were now facing more than just a lawsuit. This was turning into a full-fledged scandal. Meanwhile, Karoline's lawsuit had just been supercharged. She wasn't just fighting for herself anymore. She was exposing an entire system of media corruption. And then the network made a shocking move. As the lawsuit gained national traction and more evidence surfaced, the liberal network found itself cornered. The public backlash was overwhelming, advertisers were dropping out, and the network's reputation was in freefall. Their legal team knew one thing. If this went to court, they were doomed. So, in a desperate attempt to save themselves, the network made a stunning move. They offered Karoline Leavitt a settlement. Moneybag, a multi-million-dollar deal to quietly drop the lawsuit. Shushing Face, a confidentiality agreement that would prevent her from talking about what really happened. Page facing up a public non-apology statement that would make it seem like both sides were moving forward. But Karoline wasn't interested in their hush money. She refused. She knew that this wasn't just about money, it was about principle. About holding the media accountable. About ensuring that free speech wasn't selectively protected. Her response was bold, direct, and left the network reeling. "I will not be bought. I will not be silenced. The American people deserve to see this case through." Her refusal was met with thunderous support. Rocket donations to her legal fund skyrocketed. Rocket public figures applauded her courage. Rocket, even some liberal journalists admitted that the media had crossed a line. The network had no choice now. The lawsuit was heading to court, and the entire country would be watching. The day had finally arrived. The lawsuit that had captivated America was now heading to the courtroom. News crews swarmed outside as Karoline Leavitt, flanked by her legal team, walked confidently into the courthouse. On the other side, executives from the liberal network, their lawyers, and the now infamous hosts of The Nation Speaks sat stone-faced, knowing their reputations were on the line. Inside the packed courtroom, the evidence was laid bare for the world to see. Stop sign emails confirming the segment was a coordinated ambush. Heavy check mark submitted as evidence. Stop sign whistleblower testimonies exposing the network's bias. Heavy check mark played before the judge. Stop sign leaked strategy documents detailing how they discredit conservative voices. Heavy check mark displayed for the jury. The liberal network's lawyers tried everything to dismiss the case. Speaking head. It was just a heated debate. The emails proved otherwise. Speaking head. This is a free speech issue. The defense countered. Defamation is not protected speech. Speaking head Karoline wasn't harmed by this. Her team presented the death threats and harassment she received after the segment. Fire then, Karoline took the stand. Fire. With poise and conviction, she told the jury how the media had painted her as a dangerous figure, how it had damaged her career, and how this wasn't just about her. It was about the power of the media to silence anyone who disagreed with them. This case is about truth. If we let the media lie, manipulate, and destroy reputations without consequence, then no one is safe. The courtroom was silent. The jury listened intently. And then, the moment America had been waiting for. The verdict was in. The courtroom was silent as the judge prepared to read the verdict. America held its breath. This case had become more than just Karoline Leavitt versus a liberal TV network. It was a landmark fight for media accountability. The jury foreman stood up and, in a firm voice, delivered the words that would send shockwaves across the country. We, the jury, find in favor of the plaintiff, Karoline Leavitt. Fire. The room erupted. Fire. Karoline won. The liberal network was found guilty of defamation and ordered to pay $50 million in damages, a financial and reputational blow that would take years to recover from. Loudspeaker legal experts called it one of the most significant media lawsuits in modern history. Loudspeaker conservative voices celebrated it as a victory for free speech and fair representation. Loudspeaker, even some liberals admitted the case exposed serious ethical failings in mainstream media. The network tried to spin the loss, claiming they would appeal, but the damage was done. Police car light sponsors completely abandoned the show. Police car light ratings plummeted overnight. Police car light, the show's main hosts, were quietly fired. And then came the final twist. Karoline didn't just take the money and disappear. Instead, she announced the launch of a new media platform, one dedicated to truthful journalism, open debate, and holding powerful institutions accountable. The era of media manipulation is over. The American people deserve better. And just like that, a movement was born. Her victory wasn't just a personal win. It was a warning to every major media outlet. Stop sign. If you defame, manipulate, and smear people to silence them, there will be consequences. Stop sign. As the dust settled, Karoline Leavitt walked out of the courthouse, head held high, knowing that she had just changed the future of media in America. And this was only the beginning.